Bonjour, everybody. Hi. Good morning. This is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page on Facebook. Um, this fan page is all about all the services we provide here at Star Nations Organization, which include the magazine, the radio network live stream shows right here on Facebook on the different fan pages that we have for each of the shows, and the Academy, and also the publishing. Um, it's Saturday morning, May 19th. I almost said 18th, May 19th. And it is kind of a cloudy morning here today, a little cool. But I think we're going to be getting rain today, which we probably do need. It hasn't rained in quite a few days. I live in Tomah, Wisconsin, which is in northwestern part of the state, about an hour from the Mississippi. And so, we live right outside the outskirts of town. And Saturday morning is all about lawn mowing here for some reason. And so I don't have the windows open or anything like that because I have two neighbors who are mowing their lawn. So it's a little noisy out there right now. Up at the Star Nations Academy, I've been doing live streams from up here because we're testing out some things, different cameras, different audio, all that good stuff, and I personally don't know what it's going to sound like or do until we actually are live and doing it. And so I'm hoping that you guys can hear me and see me really well. That would be great. And Elise Miller's with us. Good morning, Elise, and good morning, Mary. I don't know. It must be an American thing, to mow your lawn on Saturday morning. I don't know. That doesn't happen at my house. Well, first of all, we don't have a whole lot of grass to mow, much to my husband's Paul's chagrin, because he loves mowing. No, but he works third shift, and so when he mows, it's going to be on his day off and probably in the afternoon, not so much in the morning. So today's card draw, I had to sit there for a little bit after I got the cards, and because we've covered these before, and so I had to check in with my spiritual team to find out what's this really about? Why are we getting the same cards again? And so this is what they shared with me, is that it's time for us to take another look, another sensing of the energy, what's being shown to us, and something that we can take into our lives at a deeper level, and or those people who maybe have never experienced these energies that came with the cards. It gives them an opportunity to take a baby step, to give it a try, and see what it feels like. And so the very first card that came out when I was shuffling, and for those who may not know much about what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, I'm using the Jamie Sams deck, which is, she has two of them, actually several of them. It's the Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. And she comes to her information from a Native American indigenous point of view. Her people come from the northeast area, the Seneca part of the Great Iroquois Nation, the Haudenosaunee. That's what they call themselves in their language. But she also takes from other nations, tribal nations across the United States, across Turtle Island. So she takes into her repertoire is the Seneca, the Cherokee, the Ojibwa, the Anishinaabeg is what we call ourselves. I'm Potawatomi, and the Ojibwa and the Ottawa, we came out together from the East Coast many generations ago. And so when we pull ourselves together, when we talk about ourselves as one, we call ourselves the Anishinaabeg. Okay, So, and she also takes in the Osheti-Sakowee, which is the Great Sioux Nation, and also the Apache and the Tinglet up in the Alaska and Northwest part of the United States. Yaqui, which is my other heritage, and there's one more. Anyway, there's several, and she comes by that by personal experience, where she goes and actually talks to the elders in those nations and the people. And so, anyway, that is her point of view in the creation of the cards. And I started using these at the beginning of the month. The I've been doing card draws for the information for the day for a long time, and I started using it for our Instagram account and selecting, the images, not the images, but the points that jump out at me from those cards. And I thought maybe the Star Nations community here on Facebook would be interested in seeing the cards and hearing the backstory of the quote that I use on Instagram. Okay, and so every morning I meet with my spiritual team and I ask them, and my spiritual team, everybody has one. My spiritual team, that's made up of my guides, guardians, angels, teachers, allies, all those who work with me for my highest good, and the work that I do, the soul contract that I came here to fulfill, and for the highest good of all, right? And so when I begin to the selection of the cards, I call in my spiritual team, and my intention is to ask them. I ask them to show me what is the most important information, energy information for me to know today, and that I can share with others, specifically through Instagram and Facebook. And so I start to shuffle the cards, and generally the cards come flying out. And so this morning, this is the first card that jumped out, and we had this card yesterday, the burden basket. We had this yesterday. Good morning, Rob Kendall. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, this fine Saturday morning. And so the burden basket card jumped out again, and I'm going, are you guys sure? It's like, we just covered this yesterday. Did I miss something in there? And I distinctly heard draw again, shuffle again. So I started shuffling again, and this is the second card that popped out, and this is the giveaway ceremony. I love this little girl on here. She is so cute, and it's about release, the giveaway ceremony. And we've had this card a couple of weeks ago as well. And so it's information that I've already shared about. And so I asked again my spiritual team, so what are these two cards about? Why do we need to cover the information again? And basically it's our opportunity to take a deeper look, not just a cursory look, but a deeper look at what these two cards could mean, and take in the information individually and how that affects our day. As Jamie Sam puts it, she calls it a medicine walk. I call it our earth walk. It's our experience here on earth, our life experience. And our life experience consists of our life lessons, and how we share our gifts, and how we are of service to each other, to others, right? And so the burden basket, yum, coffee. That first cup is always so good, isn't it? The burden basket Now, this is about self-reliance. Yesterday, we talked about how we should trust our own intuition and exhaust um, all the possibilities that are available to us through our knowledge, through our wisdom, through our gifts, right? And before we seek counsel with others. And what I got from that card yesterday was that it's good to ask for help, but we should be trusting our inner guidance and going to our spiritual self first, and that is our soul, right? Our higher self, and then going to our spiritual team, and when we just find that we can't, there's a barrier, there's a block, we can't seem to get over it, through it, under it, around it, and we've exhausted the possibilities. That's when we can reach out, right? And the burden basket is something that the grandmothers would carry to collect firewood, and it's only big enough so that their burden of the firewood was only enough for them to be able to comfortably carry and be able to, they put it on their backs when it was full, and as they're walking, they still had their hands free so that they could harvest other things, berries and roots, and things that was going to make up a meal, right? Feed their family. And so the burden basket was a tool. And when they weren't using it for collection of wood, what they would do is they would hang it outside their door. Now, in the old days, we're talking ancient ones, we're talking before stick buildings, right? Before apartment buildings, way, way long ago. There wasn't a hard door to knock on. And if you had a visitor, and the visitor, what they would do would scratch at the basket to let them know that somebody was at their door. And the occupant of the home, the dwelling, the hochika, the wigwam, or teepee, or hogan, they would let the visitor know if they were able to enter. So your visitor just didn't walk in. They didn't scratch at the door and walk in, right? They scratched at the basket and they waited for the invitation to come in. And so a lot of that is out of respect and respecting someone else's space, their sacred space. So the occupants wouldn't necessarily always allow that visitor in, no matter who they were, because their home was their privacy. And so they could have been eating a meal or having a family discussion, or maybe they just wanted to have some privacy. They didn't want to be bothered yet. And so you wouldn't necessarily gain entrance until they said it was okay. And once you gained entrance, the burden basket was about taking all of your concerns and worries and problems, your situations with other people, taking all of those thought forms and placing them in the basket, so that when you entered their home, you went in as clean as possible. You weren't taking your stuff with you, that you were actually going there to spend quality time with them, a positive visit, and not go in with your stuff to talk to them about, and leave all your worries and concerns in their house, right? Now think of that metaphor. Think of that metaphor. When we have our thoughts and they're ruminating, they're going around in your head, and you're trying, hey, Jill, Conrad, and Jocelyn, and Cindy, thank you for joining us this morning. The first card that jumped out for today is the burden basket again. And we covered this yesterday about self-reliance, right? And so if you look at the basket, it has the colors of the medicine wheel on it. Um, and I had to ask my spiritual team, why are we covering this again? And it's our opportunity to look at it in another perspective or in a deeper way. Okay. So I was thinking about that metaphor about allowing someone into our house with all of their worries and concerns and problems, right? Rather than having an enjoyable visit with them, we end up listening to, all of their stuff, and generally, it involves other people, and so then we end up listening to their thoughts about these other people, which tends to be maybe in the arena of gossip, right? Or innuendo, or at the worst, or at the least, I should say, at the least, it's not really based in fact, but opinion. And we've all been there. We all have problems. We all have concerns. We all have issues with other people, because that's part of our life lesson. It's part of our growth and our learning here, right? All right. So that made me kind of sit back and feel, not think, but feel about the times when I have taken my thoughts and my burdens to someone else before consulting my own higher self, my own spiritual team. And when I consciously made the decision to try very hard not to do that. And the first time I did that, and people knew that there was an issue that occurred, right? And I wasn't talking about it. And even today, I mean, I will go silent for a while. I might not send out, emails. I might not talk to somebody on the phone. But what I do is I go quiet. I go into meditation. I sit with it. I take my pipe out to smoke it. I give tobacco. I talk to my spiritual team. I don't even share it with my mom a lot of times, until I get to the point of maybe trying to understand it and seeing some clarity around it. And the reason why I do that is because when you start asking or telling other people about it, even though you really trust them, they see it through their filters, through their eyes, and sometimes project their own stuff in there, right? And so what I try to do is try to see it as clearly as I can on my own first. And then once I do that, and there's aspects of it that still not quite fitting, because by that point I'm too close to it. I can only see the forest and the tree thing starts to happen. And so then that's when I go to my closest confidants, those people that have been there with me for a long time. They know my weaknesses, they know my strengths, and they love me anyway. and I'll sit down and share it with them. Usually not through email or text. It's usually through a telephone call or a Skype call, and or with Paul face to face, right? Because he is my closest confidant, and so I'm sharing this with you not because I think I got the deal and I know how to do this. No, it's just to give you an example, that we all have the opportunity to learn this piece. And so if you just sit back and just kind of remember what it was like when you went to somebody unsolicited, right? For them to hear your stuff. And then you might walk away feeling pretty light and, okay, I took the burden off from me, but where did you place it? Where'd you place it? You placed it in someone else's home. You didn't leave it in the burden basket at their door. You took it into their home. And they allowed you to do that. They allowed you to do that unless they said to you, whether through body language or verbally, let's not talk about that. That sounds like that's something you really need to look at on your own. And they change the subject. Not that they don't like you or they don't love you. It's just that maybe they're not in a place to be able to deal with it. Maybe they're not in a good place to be able to be that balanced, grounded person that you need in that moment, right? I don't know. It's something to look at. It's something to consider, where we place our burdens and where we respect or disrespect someone's sacred space. And we learn through it, right? We learn not to maybe take it directly to somebody. As soon as something happens, as soon as you get that shock or you go through a situation, rather than taking it to someone else immediately, is to maybe to sit back and take a breath. First of all, take a breath, and then touch your spiritual team and say, I need help. What am I supposed to do here? you know Joe is saying this is a helpful discernment, Neshi. Go to your spiritual team first. When you finally go to others, what is the purpose of that then? How do you not be fake? I get that. Take into their home and their inner home. This is big. Yeah, it is. It really is. This isn't. Yesterday when we talked about the burden basket, it was good information. It was to understand it. But this takes it to the heart of the matter. It really does. It takes it to the heart of the matter. And you ask a good question, Jill. When you finally go to others, what is the purpose of that then? Exactly. So who are you taking it to? Who are you taking it to? And why? In the burden basket information, Jamie Sams talked about when it's time, when you take something to an elder. When you take something to an elder, when you take your problems, your concerns, your issues, because you need help, you've exhausted what you feel you can do on your own, and now you need somebody to be able to help you discern, to help you kind of sort through things, filter it through, and see what comes out at the end of it, right? Asking them to consult with their spiritual team in helping you, and the energy exchange that goes along with that. Because culturally, what we would do is we would take tobacco with us and offer the exchange to the elder in for their help. That's what we take them a gift of some sort, because there aren't many people possibly that even know how to deal with tobacco, but you take them something for asking them for their assistance, which leads to this card, I think, is the giveaway or the release. Because when we go to, let's say we choose an elder, or we choose one of our closest confidants to take our situation to, because we've exhausted what we know to do or how to do, and so now we need someone else to look at it through their eyes, through their perspective, to contact their spiritual team, right? And in the giveaway, a giveaway ceremony is about an energy exchange. And look, it's about release. It's about release. It's an offering. It's an offering. And so what you offer, and the way that a giveaway ceremony works is that you're giving someone something that is precious to you, that is means a great deal to you. Sometimes it is in a larger sense, more public, and so you've bought things or gathered items to give away to a group of people that you might not even know, because it's a naming ceremony, or somebody's receiving a feather, right? This particular meeting this morning, I believe, is about when you ask for assistance, what are you willing to give for the release? And when you're the person let's say you're the person that the friend has come to, and you're the person that they're looking to for assistance. And we've all been there, right? We've had friends call us, and that friend on the other side of the phone is crying, or maybe they're angry, because of what just happened. They're hurt, and they've tried to get through. And sometimes, when those kinds of the shocks happen in your life, you're very emotional, and so sometimes it's hard to even connect with your spiritual team when you're that emotional, because you're out of balance, right? And it's hard to hear, it's hard to sense, and then we start to shut down. And so we've been that person. We've been that person. And so we're willing to listen, to sit there and listen. And yesterday I covered that a little bit about, I try not to jump into, here's the resolution, here's the solution immediately, right? But to listen to what they have to say, and actually take the time to consider it, and to connect with my spiritual team to see how we can help. Are we supposed to help? Because sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're just the person that holds the hand while they cry, and that's the extent, because they have to go through this as best they can on their own. But be there for them, to hold them, to offer some condolence and some love. And other times it is to be more active. So Jill's asking, let's see, how to not be fake, pretending something is good. Yep. Yeah. And we've been there too, haven't we? Where somebody will ask you, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. Doing really, really good. Everything is going fine. And so, we try to paint it, or put the bunnies and the fluffy clouds and the cotton candy in there, and think that it's kind of like a veneer, right? Just a thin veneer over the top. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be. Most people, especially in the United States, when they say, "Yeah, really, how you doing?" They're really not. It's more like shake your hand and saying hello. They really don't expect you to tell them everything. And once you start, watch their eyes, watch their body language, because they're going to take a couple steps back, and then after a minute or so, you're going to see it in their eyes. They're going to glaze over, or they're going to start looking around. How do I get out of here? Because they're really not looking for the depth. They're looking for you saying, "Hey, how you doing?" "Great, how you doing?" And you're walking by, right? Generally, that's the case. It's that friend that knows you really well, and they're calling you to tell you something, or maybe it's something inconsequential, and they hear your voice and they say, "What's wrong?" Or they see your face and they say, "What's going on?" Those are the people that care and want to sit down and hear what you have to say. And you can't be fake with that, Jill. You can't. It's that person that you wouldn't be fake with anyway, right? But you can tell them that, you know what? I just had an issue with so and so, and I'm working through it. It just started, it just happened, and I'm trying my best to understand it on my own first. It's not gonna, and you could be crying, but it's it's like it's like okay, I got to figure this out, and I want to do it on my own first. When I need help, I promise I will contact you, and you probably will. Because it's that one person who knows you best, and as soon as they saw you, they knew something was wrong, right? That's it, because you can't be fake. You can't. Good morning, Cindy. It's good to see you here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're right. We're sometimes all we can do is hold space for that person and hold their hand. Um, in the old days, when my friends lived really close, or I lived close to them, that's when I would take over. I'm cooking anyway, so I'm going to take over a dish or two, just so that they don't have to worry about supper. If it's those little things, picking up the kids from school for them. Sometimes it's just send the kids over to play with my kids for a while, just so that they get a break, so that they can actually go into meditation. You're helping them carve out that time that they can spend with their spiritual team, with their higher self, asking, how do I deal with this? How do I lead with my heart and not my ego? That's fine. How can I be kind and still get my point across? Right? So in the giveaway, it's this. I think this card is particularly about how do we ask for assistance, because there should be an energy exchange of some sort. Some sort. Doesn't have to be money. Could be just your time. Um, and if you're the person they're coming to, what are you doing? How are you doing it? It's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. Right. So let me see here. Cindy saying it's hard to get people to understand that sometimes. Yeah, it is. It is. It These two cards, the way they came up, I knew we were going to be looking at the situation in a much deeper way this morning. And sometimes it's that stuff that we don't find comfortable, that we tend to kind of look away from, don't talk about much. When you're giving something in the giveaway, it's said that it's no strings attached, no strings attached, that you're not expecting something in return in the pure giveaway. So if you're the person who is being asked to be of assistance of some sort, and you're listening to the other person's story about what happened to them, and they're looking for assistance, they could be coming to you because you're a healer of some sort. But generally, it's about somebody who's close enough to you that it could be a good friend or a family member, somebody that you may not charge them, if you do this for a living. But there should still be some sort of energy exchange. And so, what are you receiving, and what are you giving in your giveaway, which is your wisdom, your expertise, your ability to help them. And do you have strings attached to that? Do you expect them to, I don't know, to use it 100%? Are you expecting them to tell other people that you're the one that helped them, and this is the breakthrough they had? And, this is, that's ego based. I think, you're looking for that accolade. It's something that we really individually have to look at and be honest with ourselves about. When somebody comes to you for assistance, sometimes you're not the right person. It's just not the right time, maybe. And so you have to, I always check in with my spiritual team, my higher self. Is this for the highest good? Is it in the highest good that I help this person, be of assistance? And if I get a yes, then how am I supposed to do this? What's important to do? What part of my gift am I going to be using? Yeah. Jill, this is pulling up my world. Sorry about that. It's a good Saturday morning, isn't it? It's not easy. And although life lessons, have you ever had a life lesson that was really super easy? Like, oh, got that. That's on the check. We'll check that box. I wish I could say I have. Even the easiest ones have been uncomfortable, have been memorable because of the situations around it. You know, and I haven't been uh, how do I want to say this? Quiet about my last year, 2017. During it, when it first started, actually late 2016, I was quiet. Lots of people didn't know what I was going through. I wasn't airing, my burdens to everybody. And then when I realized I needed help, that I exhausted everything that I knew how, that experiencing your ego dissolve and get shredded is not an easy thing to go through. And it wasn't until, and I'm going to say her name out loud, Julie Hedges. Thank you, Julie Hedges. Julie Hedges was the one person that I went to and said, I think I need some help. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here anymore. I've exhausted everything I know how to do. And so she took a look at my astrology and used the tarot cards, and she shared with me that I was going that Saturn was going through my sun sign. Yeah. And I was fighting it. I was fighting it tooth and nail. I didn't want to go with quietly into the night. I can laugh about it now. It was not funny. It was not funny at all last March and April. Not funny. Not one bit. I can look back at it now and think, oh my goodness, I should have known better. I should have this, should have that. No, you can't do that either. So it was a time that I had to ask for help, and I did. Now, the thing is, and even with that, you learn. You learn more about other people, about what they're willing to be a part of and what they're not. And there were so many people who left my life. Some quietly that I didn't even know that they were gone until I turned around to ask them something, and metaphorically, and they weren't there. They were gone. They were gone. They didn't want to hang around for the mess. Other people who I thought was going to be there and ended up not being. Some of them very close, some of them family. It was hard in the moment. It was hard. When I say a moment, I'm talking months. It was hard to accept and to go through. But now that I'm still on the tail end of it, still on the tail end, learning, absorbing, integrating, I can look back at that and think, you know what? Some of it was just divine timing. Some of it was just timing that they were not in a good place themselves to be there for me. They could have been going through their own stuff that they weren't even talking about either, and I wasn't in a good place for them. No, I wasn't teaching last year. Why? Because it was hard for me to hold that space for other people in a good way, in a balanced, grounded way, to be able to hold that amount of energy for a group of people. Couldn't do it. And I had to be honest with myself about that. And that's why you didn't see me teaching a lot. Now, it's hard for me to go places because of my mom, but there should have been no reason why I couldn't teach here, right? Except that. Except that I was going through some major stuff. And so yes, this morning, these two cards has brought up such an opportunity for us to really take a look at how and when, what we do with our burdens, right? If you're one of those people who find it difficult not to talk about your problems and your situations, and you share it with a lot of people with little discernment, maybe that's where you start. Start small, little steps. When you're talking to somebody, that might not be the best time to say something about your own problems. That just reminded me of something. Oh my gosh. The first time I met one of my good friends, one of my sisters, Teresa, we lived across the street from each other. And I was cleaning the bird bath in our front lawn. My mom-in-law and my husband they were in the front yard. I don't remember even what they were doing. And Teresa was walking by, and she stopped to talk to Paul, and Paul introduced her to my mother-in-law. And I could hear parts of the conversation. I wasn't real close, but I could hear parts of the conversation. And the very first thing that my mother-in-law said to Teresa was shared all about how my father-in-law had just passed away like a few months before. So she was still grieving, right? She was still grieving. But she shared such intimate information about herself, and she had just met Teresa, and afterwards, I mean, years later, Teresa and I were talking about this once, and she says, yeah, it was a little shocking to hear that, but obviously she needed to say something, and I said, yeah, that's true. But, today, this morning, that thought went through my head as an example about who do we, what to about our burdens and our troubles, when and who. When we're visiting somebody, do we leave them outside the door in the burden basket, and so that we go in and in what I call a clean way, right? So maybe we start small, and if just to discern that for yourself, where am I with that? How, do I do that? Do I not do that? Or on the opposite side is that you don't say anything to anybody, and you're that 150% in that self-reliance, so much so that you don't ask for help at all. You don't talk about your stuff to anybody. And maybe that there's other issues with that. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's about being vulnerable. Nobody likes to look weak, but that's a lot of our ego in there too. A lot of our ego is in there. So maybe we just look. Mary Anderson Fry, you're here with us. Good morning, Mary. So good to have you with us. And thank you, Elise. I know I'm going a bit long with this, but it's like it's a situation that we had to go deeper. And I realized I might not have. Let me read the poem that Jamie Sams wrote about the burden basket. Okay, it's not a bird in a basket; it's a burden basket. This is what she wrote. This is the poem she wrote. Burden basket carries my grief and gives me strength to go on. Burden basket reminds me not to take my burdens to others' homes. Burden basket sings to me when the winter is long, reminding me of summer's heat, bringing warmth to ancient bones. Because they used it to collect firewood. It has that burden basket has so many metaphors attached to it. Because you think about how they would collect fire in that or wood in that basket to create a fire, right? And maybe that has to do with our inner flame. Maybe. There's so much to it. That was a lot. That was a lot. So discern for yourself what feels good about what we just shared, and what doesn't. It's okay. Just let it go. Sometimes it's not every syllable and word is for us. Maybe it was just one of the thoughts, one of the phrases that you can take to heart and sit with. Watch how it unfolds. This is energy that I asked about. The intention was, what's the most important energy do we need to know about today, and that I can share with others. So with that information, just look to see how it unfolds in your life. Watch the energy, how it flows today for you. And if you decide you want to do a giveaway of some sort, start small. If you've never done it before, start small. To give away something that you have value, that you want to give to someone else, and that they've maybe done something for you, and you just want to say thank you. It's part of the giveaway. Yeah. Maybe somebody gave you a piece of advice and helped you, and you never did anything for them. So maybe start small. And watch how the energy flows around it and back to you, because it will. It always flows back to you. Yeah. Well, you're welcome, Mary. You're welcome. And Jill is saying, I'd say you nailed that, or Spirit knew who'd be listening. Yes to all of that, because had they not shown me these cards, I wouldn't have spent some time with it this morning, with my own stuff, thinking about it and feeling about it, and then asking them to help me share what needs to be said, because some of it wasn't easy. And I know that there's some people who might be listening to the live show, but also to the recorded, that it's going to, as you put it, Jill, blow on your mind, that it could be that. So with that, I wish you a good Saturday, happy Saturday. Enjoy your Saturday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning with tomorrow's energy card draw. And a little Potawatomi again, Ba Mamina, until we see each other again. Okay, love you guys.